My name is Bob Snow. I'm the chair of the Underhill Selectboard. Today's date is the 19th of December, 2024. It is now 6:32. We're running a little bit behind because we had a joint meeting with the town of Jericho. We do have an agenda. You turn that off. I'm going to call the meeting order.
You're good.
Okay. There is an open public comment period that we have. So is there anyone in the town hall here that would like to speak to the select board in a public comment or in the virtual environment? Hearing and seeing none at both locations. We'll move right on to the next item on the, before we do that, are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Yeah, so I had sent out a memo I got from the Energy Committee, and I've supplied you with that, and it's a request to apply for a certificate of public good, and it's a timely, it's a time-sensitive matter.
So why don't we put that, if there's no objection, why don't we put that in after the town highway report, and in between that and the Casey's Hill porta potty
Okay.
thing, or portalette, I should say.
And then Jennifer had one thing on the on a possible gift for Matt that we could discuss either offline or.
Sure.
Okay.
We can do that.
We could do it
Under
again.
the town administrator items, we add that as something for Matt.
Sure.
And then I also had, wanted to request, but I can do it during closing public comment, an incident that occurred in Underhill that I wanted to bring to the board's attention.
Sure. Any other adjustments to the agenda?
If there's room for me after all of that, I'd like to have a discussion about a possible sale of the town portable generator.
Okay. Can we put that under your item as under after consider authorizing Harbor Freight credit card,
Please do.
the generator?
Yep.
Any objections to any of that?
Nope.
Hearing none, we ready to begin this select board meeting? Here we go. Strap yourselves in. It's going to be fun.
Let's keep it snappy.
Let's go. So the first item, town meeting items or town highway items. Russ is here. Russ, take it away.
Okay, first thing on my list is to authorize an application submittal for the Beartown Road Pit Disposal Site. Brad and I have worked on this application every 10 years.
Yeah, it's a 10-year.
10-year renewal, which we utilize for our stump dump and things like that.
So I gave you last time's renewal, and after talking with Russ, we want to do the same thing. So we do 900 tons of stump, brush, untreated wood, and then 4,500 tons street sweepings. But as you'll see in the, there's no category for ditch material and so forth. But in the application, street sweepings is defined as ditch material. A lot of this stuff we don't have to go through again. We've already been through it with CSWD once, and we don't need to go through that again. So it's a simple renewal. If we don't renew it, we have no place to dump materials.
Well, that wouldn't be very good, would it?
It would not.
So I would move that we authorize the application to submit for the Beartown Road Pit Disposal Site for wood and clean fill, or I guess we just should say fill. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Have we had any neighbor discussion, complaints about the site?
I haven't.
No
Okay.
one can see it.
Okay,
Where it is, it's hidden.
all right. And this is the location of the
Solar.
solar panels the town owns.
Yeah, it's a
Thank
pit
you.
the town owns.
Thank you.
It's on a road that the town owns, Beartown Road.
There's no speed limit signs over there, though.
There might be.
We could put a few blinky lights in there.
Sorry. Any other discussion? Hearing none, you ready for the question?
Yep.
All those in favor of renewing the application for the Beartown Road Pit Disposal Site, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Next item.
Next item is, last Thursday, the board approved to purchase new tires, winter tires for the pickup. We brought them down Friday to Pete's Tire Barn to just drop them off to get them changed. And the salesman noticed that we were dropping off LT tires, which are 10-ply tires, and what we ordered were not 10-ply tires. And we need 10-ply tires for the weight that we haul with the pickup, with the sander and the plow and so on. And he said there would be another $20 per tire. So I called Patty because I didn't want to delay it any longer. She approved the increase in cost and just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. So everybody was on the same page of the increase for the 10-ply tire.
Right, and just for clarity, you went ahead and purchased the tires, so this is just an FYI that we went $80 over the authorization price. And I authorized it.
Makes sense.
It's like, well.
Take that.
I think the power might have gone to her head.
I know, I got
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm used to Patty just getting her way all the time, so it's okay.
Which in turn I got my way. And we used
No, I
them this
think that's-
morning. Great.
I have I think it makes perfect sense, so we're good.
It's a good
In
catch.
all in good clean
That
form.
happened
Glad he-
beforehand, yeah.
I'm glad he got it. So that was great.
Yeah, exactly.
Third thing, consider authorizing a Harbor Freight credit card, which, just a little back story on that is we applied for credit at Harbor Freight to purchase economical priced tools that we need to utilize in the shop to do our in-house repairs to try to save the town some money. And not knowing at the time when we set it up that it would be a credit card. It's not a Visa or MasterCard. It's just a which is the way they do their billing. It'd be like no other. We do get our invoices. They're signed off and submitted. The purchase policy still stays, along with it. So Sherry caught that and wanted to bring it to the board's attention because of the credit card policy. So just hopefully can get your approval to go along with that. It's just their way of doing credit. Again, it's not a MasterCard or Visa. It's just it can only be used in that store. And I am signed to be the only purchaser on it.
My question is, does that make sense for that to be held in the finance office and then we continue to go through the normal channels for payment to them in terms of checks and things of that nature instead of using a credit card? I just, from a business standpoint, the practice of having several credit cards in a company can become it has the ability to have issues pop up. And my suggestion would be, and I'm open to feedback on this and obviously challenge on that, but my suggestion would be to have it housed in the finance office and only use it if it's critical to use. And we continue to pay by check in a normal process. And it's not, that way you're not sitting on a credit card and being responsible for that.
It is still paid by check, right? Because I sent Jen all the paperwork that came along with it. And they did also say that we don't need to have credit card in hand to purchase things. It's just, tell them it's a town of Underhill.
It's an account that just has a card number attached to it.
So it would be no different than
Jerry
any
Hill
other
Hardware.
Jerry Hill Hardware or any other.
Johnson.
Yes.
I see.
You
It's
go
just
in and
they-
charge it to the account.
It's just strange that they issued this actual physical card also.
But the card shouldn't be in the garage floating around, it gets lost or something. I'm not saying it would, but
Yeah, so if there's no need for a card,
No.
just,
then
But they did send it in the mail.
Okay. Yeah.
if we're gonna have a card, it should be housed in the finance
in the
department.
vault, yeah.
In the
Yeah.
vault or
It'd be
wherever
in
we
the
would
vault.
put that.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it makes sense to have a line of credit at a place like that
Right,
where the credit is
exactly.
utilized rather than
Exactly.
like, if it can be streamlined, efficient, get more deals or discounts. I think that makes sense.
So I think what we should do next is that a motion should be made and then we can second it and we can continue the discussion and we can take action.
I'd like to make a motion that we have the credit card housed in the normal location at the town hall office here on Pleasant Valley Road. That's the motion.
So just to clean it up maybe a little bit, are you gonna make a motion or revise your motion to say that we are going to obtain a Harbor Freight account, and that credit card associated with that account will be housed here at the town hall?
That's better said. That's my amended motion. Oh, that's well said.
That's what you just said. And
I'll second that motion.
Maureen
Thank you.
seconds it. Is there any other further discussion? Hearing none, you ready for the question? All those in favor of obtaining a Harbor Freight account, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. There was one last thing that Russ had, and that was the generator.
Yeah, generator. Just before that, I just want to let you all know that we had the opportunity this morning to utilize our new mud blades and game changer for soft roads.
Nice.
So very good investment. And
Awesome.
the 3 dirt road guys, thank you for that.
Patty said something about that she wanted to go on the truck when those were used or
I
something.
do want to go on,
Just to see,
Hopefully we don't need them again.
since I delayed you. a whole
just to experience
9
the
months or-
awesomeness of that.
They work very well. So the last thing I've got is 2 years ago, we purchased, or Brad was kind enough to purchase a generator for us for the town garage in case we have no power. And
That's nice of her.
Well, we had no power at the time,
Right.
and we were
so
expecting
Scrambling.
sub-zero temperatures, so we were scrambling.
So we didn't use it that year. We did use it for a short period this last January, maybe a few hours, possibly. Now that we have a full-time generator on staff, we don't need this generator. So Brad and I just talked back and forth in other discussions about we probably ought to sell it, or we don't need it on the in the highway department. And then yesterday, I just happened to see on Front Porch Forum that Poker Hill School is looking for a generator. So I reached out to them, let them know that we had this one that we may be interested in selling. So Jennifer was kind enough to get the invoice out for the generator, which we paid $2,862 for. So we discussed that it was probably worth in the vicinity of $2,200 to $2,300, and somewhere in that range. So I reached out to Poker Hill School and told them, so they got back to me, and I told them the price of, I told them $2,200, being a local school and so on in the community. So they have an electrician coming on Monday to review their situation and see if this would work for them. So I told them I had to run it through the select board, which had a meeting tonight. So she asked if I could at least talk to you folks and get approval to sell it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, we'd be able to advertise it and sell it. Other than Poker Hill School,
Just to back up to a little bit, so we purchased this transfer switch called the Jenner Link, and it's a transfer switch that hooks directly into your meter. So you don't need to go into your panel or anything like that. It goes into the meter. The socket plugs up underneath, so it's on the outside. It's on your meter's on the outside, but it's in between the meter and the panel. So it's called Jenner Link. And unfortunately, this particular generator doesn't work with that Jenner Link because of a ground issue. And we had the electrician look at it. They could disable the ground. He didn't suggest doing that inside the generator. So there are other generators that work with this Jenner Link that we have. And our thoughts were that, I think Bob's thoughts were, or we have talked before, that maybe the Historical Society could use the Jenner Link transfer switch, and we could use the proceeds from selling this generator to get a generator that does work with the Jenner Link.
So to expand upon that a little bit further, and I think we might be getting a little bit into the weeds. I'm okay with entertaining a motion to sell the generator if it's not going to necessarily meet our needs at this time. I like the idea of recapturing the funds and putting that towards the historical society so that we have other options. If something, heaven forbid, something were to ever happen to this building and we needed to, have an emergency operations center or, outside of maybe the fire department or here, if we had emergency power at the historical society, we could still somewhat function as a community. And having emergency power, to me, makes some sense. But I think the first thing would be is that if it doesn't really fit our needs, maybe we should entertain the idea of selling that. So I guess we should probably do that first, and then we can talk about what we want to do with the money that we obtain from that and what we want to do with that after.
Mm-hmm.
So with that spirit, I guess I'd entertain a motion that we authorize Russ to sell the generator, and try to use good judgment in securing as much funds as he can for the generator for the town of Underhill. So that will be my motion. I don't want to necessarily say that it has to be $2,400.
Right.
I think we can trust Russ in using good judgment on something like this and, negotiate that so it's a fair deal for the town of Underhill.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
Is there any use of that generator other than to power an entire building? Does it have any plug-in load that
Oh,
you
yeah.
could take it portably?
You could, yeah, yes.
Do we have any need for anything like that
We don't.
for the town? I'd like make sure we've
Not with
turned all
battery,
the stones over.
with battery powered tools, gas powered tools.
I guess the only thing I could possibly even think of is that maybe another department, maybe like the recreation department, if they were having some type of whatever, and they need to have power,
Mhm.
for like running a band or something like that, maybe they would, but I don't know.
Yeah,
A lot of people bring that type of stuff anyway, like,
The other problem with the generator, if they don't get used on a regular basis too, they tend not to operate when you need them.
Especially the portable ones.
Yeah, and this is very heavy, I assume.
It's a nice
It's
unit.
got the
Handles,
It's got
handles
handles to
on it.
move it around.
handles. It is a nice, it's a
Yeah.
well-made unit. I can't remember the brand, but
Uh,
it's on there.
multi-clip.
Multi-click.
And I don't want to make it a requirement that it goes to Poker Hill, but I think that would be a great solution in terms of thinking of, something else that can benefit another organization in the town. That would be a good destination if that works out.
May not be big enough for their needs. I don't
Yeah.
know. But it's 6,500 watts.
Any other discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of authorizing Russ to sell the town's portable generator that was purchased for the town garage, please signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Hi.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So I guess Russ, try to get as much as you can. I trust you and appreciate you and
Mm-hmm.
all of that, so.
Plenty of trust to have.
We, I don't know if we want to take up what we do with the proceeds, or we want to not get too far ahead of ourselves, I guess would be my suggestion, is that
Mhm.
once we sell it, then Russ can report back and let us know, and then we can kind of decide what we want to do with that at that point in time.
Yeah, I
That's a good
agree.
idea.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Consensus, everybody?
I can do a little research on compatible generators in the meantime,
Yeah.
maybe. So when
Okay.
that time comes, we can.
Well, that takes
Okay.
us, thank you, Russ,
Thanks,
for
Russ.
everything.
Thank you, guys.
That takes us right to you, my friend.
Thanks so much. I will be brief. Basically, we were here as of the last meeting, and we were told to come back with some more information. So we have managed to confirm, we've got a firm price now. I mean, as firm as we can without a formal bid. But we've got a good price, a good estimate, that the $50,000 estimate was in fact good. And we could resolve those issues. However, there are still some outstanding issues. Right now, our biggest issue is a satisfactory off-taker because of the existing contract with the Beartown Array and exactly how we use power. Steve has been working on that. We thought we might have to abandon it, and I communicated that to Brad earlier. However, Steve has sharpened his pencil and kept working, and there may be a way that we can pursue this satisfactorily, but one of the things that has become apparent is that we will need a CPG, a certificate of public good, to do that. There is a big sort of fall off or change in the way these things operate as of the end of this year, January 1st. If we don't get in before that, we run into some additional problems with working up our CPG and our ability to actually implement it. So in the interest of pursuing that, we brought forward a basic proposal that allows us to sort of continue to get this thing resolved satisfactorily. That would include a budget item for the canopy itself, but most important in the short term, we would need authorization from the board to pursue and spend $100 to get the CPG done. Steve has volunteered to work with me over the week after Christmas to get this in, and we believe that we can do this satisfactorily and get the results into you guys.
Thank you. Do you have a sense as far as, once we apply for the certificate of public good, when we will know when that would be approved or not?
Do you know, Steve, how long it takes to get an approval? That was one thing I don't know.
2 to 3 weeks, but I'm not sure.
I believe it would be quick, and certainly everything would be resolved long before town meeting. I mean, that is obviously the drop dead date for everything here. And we would have everything resolved with respect to all of the off-taker and the CPG and everything else prior to that. But
Not really though, because the warning gets signed on the 23rd
right,
of January, and that sets the budget and that sets town meeting in
Right.
motion.
right.
So
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, I mean, we could always amend, I would volunteer to amend from the floor to change things if we, if we found that, our approach was not, satisfactory from everybody's point of view. I think that, we're not looking to do anything untoward here. We just want to make sure that we can continue to pursue it, and take the steps that we, feel that we need to take in order to get the best information. And obviously we'll bring that information as quickly as possible.
So I think we got one apple, 2 bites. First bite is to get the CPG
That's correct.
and authorize to go after that and spend $100.
Right.
And the second bite is going to be to put $50,000 in a line item in the budget for.
That's correct. And this would be consistent basically with the ARPA funds that were originally discussed and kind of got diverted for, I would say, a very worthwhile cause, but nonetheless, it was, originally the ARPA committee had recommended pursuing this particular one. And so
Sure.
we've made the effort to, and one thing I will say, Steve in particular and the rest of the committee, we've worked hard to try to make this a success. So.
I just had a clarifying question. The CPG application is not dependent on there being a line item budget or a budget.
No, although, I mean, it wouldn't make a lot of sense if we weren't
Sure.
pursuing something
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do that. But, no, it is definitely not, so.
Okay.
So I think we're at that point in the discussion or discovery that we entertain a motion to go after a certificate of public good and spend $100 to get that. So I would move that we do that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So it's been moved that the town obtain an application for the certificate of public good for the solar and for us to spend $100 for that application. It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion on that?
Yeah, I'm just a clarifying question relative to the location being at Casey's Hill. The last we talked, it was across the road.
There was concern about, one of the things that keeps coming up is we have not been able to finalize what the more concerns are, and obviously we all need to be very sensitive to what's going on with that. And Steve being Steve is exploring the possibilities, and there would at least be that possibility as a part of the town, because the recreational value of the structure would still have, have value there. It would be worthwhile for people changing for skiing and snowshoeing and that sort of thing, so.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're not clouding one from the other. So the question really is that whether or not we're going to go after the application and spend the money to get the application. The application doesn't necessarily say where the solar is going to be located or anything like that. Is that correct?
We will be coming back with a specific location for that.
So I think,
My understanding of the CPG process and having worked in the utility industry for 35 years is you will file with a location.
Yes, that's correct.
That you will file the CPG with a specific location.
Yeah.
I'm a little uncomfortable about specifying Casey's Hill, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Last we talked, we were talking more
Moore Park,
about the
right.
canopy there. So I'm a little uncomfortable.
Well, I guess the thing was that we've got two different total styles of architecture, right? What the Moores were proposing for the pavilion is very different from the canopy style post and beam. So really, in all fairness, the Moores hadn't been part of the discussion about the canopy.
I guess I'm going to say that I'm sharing what Patty is saying is that view is very special to a lot of people.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
so if we put this up, that may detract from the view that people are accustomed to seeing.
Mhm.
And I would hate to have
And-
that happen because I think it's a sensitive area that, they really don't want anything necessarily built there,
Mhm.
type of thing. And they want to try to keep it as pristine as possible. And I don't know if we are, maybe it may be okay to do, but is it the right thing to do?
And-
What is driving the filing date, or is the net metering rate changing
The
for
rate-
January
The
1?
rate may be changing as well.
The
but
credits?
What's changing is that right now you can have a system and you can have people that share your power that are any place in GMP service territory.
Right.
So I've got a system that I share with people in Jericho, right? Next year, starting January 1st, you're gonna have to you only will be able to share power with people who are adjacent properties.
The butters.
Okay, that's the change. Okay, so that's the change.
I guess
in the net metering rules.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna speak out against this, that this was submitted to the board at last minute. The public has not had an opportunity to know that this is coming forward, nor to be here tonight to say, whether or not, where this is actually going to be. And I think that if we do take action and we approve this without having the public having even a sense of what we're thinking about doing, I think would not be in anyone's best interest. So I'm sorry. I want to support this. However, if we are not going to be transparent on where this is necessarily going to be and not have the opportunity given to the public to, provide any feedback to us as members of the select board, I think that that's a dangerous thing for me. So that's why I'm sorry, but I will be voting against this.
Well said, Bob.
Against the motion on the table, which is
Right.
filing the
And
CPG.
if it was possible to file the CPG without naming a specific location, I'd be comfortable moving forward with it. But it seems like especially because we haven't talked about like where at Casey's Hill something would be, or kind of and there, I feel like there is a lot to consider. And I the complicating factor of not being able to do it to adjacent property owners for sharing the power is certainly a complicating factor, but I agree I think it's unfortunate timing.
Yeah.
Coming up against this deadline, but I think I agree that it does not feel like we are in a great position to move forward, unfortunately.
Or you guys have done a ton of work on this. Could you file it, the CPG, using Moore Park?
Sure.
And then in the event that the folks that are part of the Moore Park development, we can't get our head around it, the family can't get their head around it, then propose a change to the CPG afterward, and then change the location once we find.
CPGs can be amended.
Yes, they can.
I know that they can be amended. We were less certain about the locational amendment. Certainly the participants we know that they can be amended very straightforwardly. So, whoever, the off takers.
I will then say, if the board would agree, that we will hold a public hearing to discuss that and that alone on where that's going to be located. I can get my arms around it, but the public.
Even for Moore Park?
Yeah, but the public needs to have an opportunity to be warned that this is being brought before us for consideration. I think the public knows that we want to go forward with a photovoltaic site system, but they do not know where this necessarily is going to be. And so we need to, I feel strongly that we need to give the public an opportunity to have a say in where this is going to be, because this is going to be on public land.
And clearly, nothing's set in stone at this point.
In terms of location.
No matter what we decide tonight, nothing's gonna move.
Is it
till we
is
have
it
an opportunity.
possible to, this is just thought, to apply for a certificate of public good, but kind of leave it open to
Floating.
floating? Where are they gonna go with
Like,
that?
We have
On
not,
the property
not
of
been
the
able, we
town
have
of
not
Underhill.
seen, I mean, there is a section in there, where you're looking for an address.
Yeah.
And that may have something to do with the abutter issues and stuff like that are gonna be coming down the pipe.
New road.
But, I mean, in any case, there's at least a theoretical possibility for amendments.
It's gonna be on town property.
It's gonna be on town property.
So we only have so many
A
town
limited
properties.
number of those around. So, but if we don't pursue the certificate of public good, we're kind of,
At the garage.
that's more or less the end of it. If we do pursue it, there's at least the realistic possibility that we could amend it, hearing whatever we want to do to make this work.
So they're not
Piece
gonna,
of it is, we could withdraw it. We're not locked in, even after we file a CPG, we're not locked in. And if we decide that after the public hearing, people are in opposition to any idea that we have, can't find a place for it to work, we could withdraw the CPG.
That doesn't force us to execute the CPG. It just allows us to execute it.
Nice.
So we have a motion on the floor. It has been seconded that we are going to agree to go forward with this. We have not agreed upon, where this is going to be located. So in order for this to continue, we need to have a location of where this is going to be. And the conversation needs to be specifically to that. And I think there's very few locations that we can consider.
The Moore Park was the original suggestion. We were out of an excess, if you will, of caution and trying to be thoughtful about what the Moores may want, but we haven't heard specifically that they do not want something like this. There's no, we have tried to pursue a certain amount of that. There's no the two facilities or two structures may not be particularly adjacent. I mean, we have the ice rink and everything in there and we're thinking about one of the big values that we see for this is, when I thought we might lose this, my concern was as much because of the value for recreational purposes, the shelter for, both warm and cold weather and ice skate changing and that sort of thing that it provides. So I almost thought, gee, could we put it up without PV on it just to have that capability? So,
I appreciate the input, but at this time, I'm going to limit the conversation now to members of the board in the essence of saving time. Member of the board needs to make an amendment to the motion of where we're going to potentially put this, for this to continue.
I would like to move forward with the motion to authorize the Energy Committee to file for CPG, but with a place and the location to be determined.
Okay, so location to be determined. Is there a second to that amendment?
I'll second that amendment.
Okay, so now we have a motion, and we have an amendment that the location is going to be determined, and is there any further discussion on that?
Bob,
So this,
Oh,
I know you don't
Dan.
want to have
Oh.
outside people.
Oh,
but,
sorry.
I don't think that's possible. I think we have to put a location in the CPG form, which is probably accurate.
Yeah, Steve, I'm looking at the net metering filing right now. And I think that, I think you could put the legal address of the town of Underhill, but in the process of filing this, locate somewhere in here that the location is to be determined. So use our mailing address as the town hall.
Okay.
Just, I'm looking at the filing right now, the
Like 12
webpage.
Pleasant Valley Road.
12 Pleasant Valley Road, but the location, this motion is the physical location of the site is to be determined.
Yes.
So as part of this filing, understand that going
Mhm.
forward.
That makes sense.
Okay, I can get there.
You're good? You're good?
Yeah.
Russ is good.
So
Great.
the amendment,
So the amendment is that
Dan?
it's,
Steinbauer had something, sorry.
go ahead,
I
Dan.
was there, hand up.
so we're voting on the amendment right now?
Right, and the amendment is for the TBD, but it's gonna be listed as the town of 12 Pleasant Valley Road.
That's good.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Ready for the question?
Mhm.
All those in favor of amending the motion to list 12 Pleasant Valley Road with the exact location to be determined, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion
There you go.
carries 5-0. Well, we're not quite there yet, Brad.
It's the amendment.
Yeah, we're not there.
So it's been amended that we will apply for the certificate of public good and use the town hall, the exact location to be determined. So we're gonna authorize to go after the application and we're gonna authorize spending $100. Is there any further discussion on the overall motion? Hearing none, you ready for the question? All those in favor of of applying for the certificate of public good and spending $100 for that application with the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. So Brad, if you could help Peter with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna wanna see the application and.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll work.
And you can authorize me to sign it, I guess, it's
Yep.
fine. Yeah, okay, good.
So the other question is gonna be, so that was the first bite, right? Second bite of the apple is going to be to put the $50,000 line item in this year's budget for the PV system. I think we're about to go into discussing the budget. I don't think we necessarily have to take that with you. We can discuss that when we go over the budget, if there's gonna be another revision of the budget and kind of go from there. But we received your request of wanting to put $50,000 in the budget. Is that fair? Is that
Mhm. Mhm.
Pretty fair to me.
okay? It's always good to see you.
Great to see you. Thank
Thank-
you all
thank you.
and have a great Christmas.
Yeah, you too.
Yep,
Thank
thank you for all the work
thank
of the
you for
Energy
all your
Committee.
work.
Oh, we ain't done yet, unfortunately.
Well,
We're still here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Permit process is the hardest part.
I know, there you go. It'll be a dream after that.
All right. So it's 10 after. We need to revisit the Casey Hill Port Roulette. That's the next item on the hit parade.
Yeah, so after last meeting that you were not at, Bob, they're proposing a portalet for Casey's Hill just for the winter months. Probably January, February, March, maybe. And the board wanted to see a little more detail on where it was gonna be. So Peter Davis took some photographs. It's gonna be over the bank a little bit, adjacent to the parking lot. He has offered to even screen it with some fencing. So with just some little short pieces of homemade fence to kind of enclose so the portalet isn't visible from the road. Nothing permanent, just a temporary, stick a couple poles in the ground, throw up some rough cut, just to box it in.
So is that gonna be easy to service if you do all that?
They said that it's not that dramatic right there. But they'll obviously have to keep something shoveled or groomed. They can run his groomer up the side of
That's where he runs the groomer right there.
right there.
And then they just have to be able to get the hose into the thing and suck it out.
he sounded pretty confident that he had talked to Well,
GMP, they said
Yeah.
within 40 feet, they could drag their hose within 40
Yeah.
feet. So I'm assuming they're gonna keep either something, a set of steps shoveled or a groomed
Mhm.
path for the person pumping it.
So I guess my concern is that the accessibility of other people that are not skiing. And if you have the handicap
Oh, I
folks and
see.
stuff like that, should the portalet really be in a hard packed surface area where other people that are able to use that? Because it's not going to be just the people that are recreating there. You're going to be opening this up to anybody that goes up to the state park and wants to try to climb from here to Stowe and then take the Uber back, and everything in between.
Uber in Underhill?
So what came up last time about that was that putting it in the parking lot or somewhere in plain sight was, again, you talked about the beauty of what you see when you're driving up, that was why they talked about tucking it down there.
Right, I don't want to see a portalet
Every
Mhm.
time you drive
ruining
by.
that,
every
ruining that.
every
view.
time I check my mail.
Yeah.
This might
Hey, Dan.
mailboxes are
Yeah.
right there.
I did
Um,
have a question as well about aesthetically speaking. I've seen some porta potties that are bright blue, some that are brown, some that are understated. Is there a color that they've proposed? Because the least obvious color would be my vote if we have that option.
Yeah.
I think the vendor we use, I believe they're green.
I was gonna say blue.
They're
No.
like a forest green. I
Maybe
think.
if they painted it like a candy cane, it would be okay.
I think the fence is a nice proposal in terms, like the screening, I think is
Yeah.
helpful. And I am somewhat concerned, right? Like it's a public bathroom, right?
Yeah.
Like putting it down somewhat, I think is helpful. Like, right, of having it not
Yeah.
immediately obvious for everyone who's driving along Mountain Road. It's there for people recreating
Yeah.
or, and the alternative though is that like if there is nothing there and there's that many kids using it twice a week, we're going to have other kinds of public health problems. Because
Yeah.
So I think we try it this winter is my inclination and see if there are problems with it or if we get a lot of feedback. But I think it's a great use of Tomasi Meadow and it's great to have programs like this.
Mhm.
And
So we have a proposal to spend so much money to put a porta potty there. Is that what we need to do? So a motion needs to be made that we're going to authorize the funds to be spent to place a porta potty near Casey's Hill for this winter for the months discussed from January through
I
March
think
or April.
the rec committee
Rec committee
was going to
budget.
pay for it.
Right, it was
So
gonna
it's
come
going to
out
come
of-
out of the rec committee budget.
$130 a month.
How
What
much
was
was
it?
$130.
$130 a month
So what do we need
for 3 months?
I guess we just need to
It was
approve
about you
the
guys
rec
approving
committee
it
moving
and the
forward.
location.
Location is the
Placing
big
it.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Keep in mind, now there's no snowbanks. We could get some snowbanks even along Mountain Road and in the parking lot. So, yeah, right now, we could probably go over the bank pretty easy to pump that out. But if we start getting snow, there's gonna be snowbanks up to the end of the parking lot. And there's gonna be snowbanks along Mountain Road.
But you're not signing, just throwing this out there, because I do know a lot about porta potties because we use them a lot in our town. I'm a bit of a porta potty expert. Put on my resume.
Other good check mark.
Notch in my cap.
porta potty princess.
No, you all stop. Porta potty princess here. Anyway, moving right along. I know I'm gonna hear about this tomorrow. You're not signing a contract, it's 1 month. If it doesn't work, February,
Yeah.
you yank
Ship
it
it
out
out.
of there.
Yep. Maybe just one last thing to go back to the color of it. Brad, you said that they're green. I'm fully supportive. I think this is a great idea. But if there are options for colors here, I would love to be involved in choosing that.
So
Sure.
What
If
color
you
do you
can
want?
find out what the options are, that would be great.
I don't want green or,
So let's
Light
keep it,
yellow.
let's keep it focused to whether or not we want the porta potty or not. And then we can,
yeah.
so
Put down
those
the
that want to be
color
involved in the color, we can certainly have, those can certainly weigh in on that, but I'd like to say, before we go into colors, let's see if we're gonna actually do it or not. So a motion to approve having a porta potty at Casey's Hill would probably be in order.
I will move that we approve the request to have a porta lot placed as proposed adjacent to the parking lot at Casey's Hill.
So it's been moved, is there a second?
I'll second it so we can take action.
Okay, that sounds great. So is there any other discussion?
Do we really have a problem at Casey's Hill relative to people needing to go to the bathroom?
I guess it depends if whether or not you have to go or not.
I'm questioning whether we have a problem. I don't know if we do. Do we really need to have a porta
Well,
potty there?
I think there is, or the rec department wouldn't have come forward with a request.
And part of it is, I'm assuming it's because this ski program is just starting out for
Yeah.
the season, and there's a lot of, I mean, I don't know if you've been by when the program is happening, but it is unbelievable
Between
the number of
60 and
kids and
80
cars
kids.
that are there. And if they're there for a couple of hours, like especially kids, like
Yeah.
they always have to go to the bathroom. So I'm assuming it is going to be an increased need over the winter, depending on how much snow we have. But, and again, if it's just trying for a month, it seems like.
I mean, I live right across the street from it, and I've needed to use a porta potty before walking, and so I think this would be a beneficial thing.
Good point, Bubble.
Could they use your bathroom if needed?
So in the essence of trying to save time, it seems like this is a relatively small lift. Are we good with the discussion?
Yeah, I'm gonna be okay with it to try it out for this year, just as an experiment to see how it goes. I want to see how it looks visually, see how much it's used. They can probably tell us that, right? You're the porta potty princess.
Yes,
But in no way am I committed to doing this in perpetuity. I would
Yeah.
try it out for this winter or period this winter, but I'm not gonna commit to doing this for in perpetuity.
If I see your truck.
Any other
around-
discussion?
I'm
We
ready for the
okay with
question.
the porta potty debate of 2024?
Wipe this
Yeah.
right off the
Yeah,
agenda.
we're gonna wipe this right now.
Oh my God.
All those in favor of the porta potty at Casey's Hill, please signify by saying aye.
Wait, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Aye.
A little dark here. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. In the essence of trying to save time, those that are on the select board that would like to discuss colors of the porta potty, please feel welcome to discuss your color options with Brad. And he will convey your request to the porta potty princess, and we will continue on. All right, so we got through that,
Oh,
thank
that
God.
was,
Good.
that was,
It's good to have a good,
Yeah.
fun time.
it is important to have a little laugh.
Yes, it is.
So,
I do often have to tell my kids that we don't do bathroom humor, but I'll just tell
We
them,
got
sometimes
Sometimes
they
you
use, you know,
Sometimes it just, you have to have that.
Sometimes it just,
it just
They could
happens.
be,
gotta
they could be
do it.
watching this live. tonight.
Exactly.
All right, so next thing, the town administrator, Brad's here. Brad, you got several things
I
for us
do.
to talk about.
So I'm back to the managed care package. So we have added 7 premier business packages. And the reason we went from 6 to 7 is because we potentially have a new planner
Mhm.
coming at some point, or if there's another position here in the mix. So that's for that. The 13 are for the committees, you all, the tree warden, and the health officer. And then on the recommended additional services, we talked amongst ourselves here as staff, and I think these things cost quite a bit of money. These are monthly reoccurring charges per license, so it's pretty expensive. But we did talk about password management, and Jennifer, myself, I'd say Sherry and Jennifer have probably 8 pages worth of passwords.
it's 8 pages.
I've probably got 2-3 pages worth
Typed
of
8
passwords. And Amanda does too. I don't think Russ has too many passwords, but the 4 of us manage an incredible amount of passwords. some of which are,
Very sensitive passwords,
yeah, very sensitive.
Bank
and some of them are
accounts.
which, like,
IRS.
I've got some that require
Retirement.
12 characters. It's incredible. So there's a program called Password Management Services. The tech group themselves uses this. Dave Curtis, who's a great technician that we've been dealing with for years, he manages 3,000 passwords of his own using this system. It's an encrypted system that stores your passwords. It can generate passwords, so you don't have to write them down. You know, a lot of us have typed. We have them all over the place,
Mhm.
right? So most of them are secure most all the time, but this system will allow us to have a better, more secure handle on our passwords. So I'm proposing 4 at $49 a month. And basically that's $196 a month I'd like to add to the to that. And we can try it, and if we all decide we don't like it,
Or
we
it's
can
not
just drop it.
necessary, yeah.
We can just drop it.
Mhm.
But we need the managed care services. That contract ends on December 31st. So I'm recommending that you authorize me to sign the managed care quote for $1658.40 monthly, with an additional $196 monthly for 4 password management services.
So motion on the, I move that we, take the town administrator's recommendation for, the tech group as just previously discussed. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ready
Thank
for-
you for running this down. I think this
Yeah.
is a good proposal and took a lot of work to get to this point.
So you have a total dollar figure, Brad?
Yeah, so it'll be, as I said, $1,658.40 monthly. This is a 1-year contract, and then the additional services, which is a different charge, that'll be $196 monthly.
Okay.
$22,253 a year.
So, any other discussion? Ready for the question? I really like this TV thing, just so you
You
know.
do?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Cause I can look up and I can see
Yeah,
like
okay.
Dan and, you know, everything in between, so.
Great.
This is
It's
good.
like you're here.
Oh, on 2 screens.
All right, so, no other discussion, everybody's good, ready for the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries 5-0. Next, Brad.
This is kind of Jennifer's item because she prepared the thing, so I'll let her speak to that. It's the Larry's.
Oh, Larry, yeah. Yes, I wrote the letter with, this was based on all of the work that we've done up till this point and the interviews. It's an offer letter to, hire Larry Luack, to come on board January 1st as a part-time temporary planning assistant planner, for the town of Underhill at $30 an hour. He would be on our payroll, but it's part-time temporary. So we would be paying payroll taxes only, no additional benefits or anything like that, for up to 15 hours a week. And that's it.
6-month period, right?
Yeah, for
Until
6 months.
June 30th of 2025.
So just one clarifying question. He has to work in order to get paid, correct?
Yes,
It's not, we're paying you.
he has to fill out a timesheet with his hours. He gets paid for the hours he works.
Thanks for clarifying that.
And
So,
I think I said that, but if
Okay.
not, yes, you are required to submit a timesheet to be paid on the town's biweekly pay schedule.
awesome. So, motion to authorize the, part-time planner, offer letter, would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Patty to send the part-time planner offer letter out. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Maureen seconds. Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of sending out the part-time planner offer letter, please signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Jennifer, for all your hard work with it.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer.
Next item, Brad, is to review the Underhill Center sidewalk topographical survey estimate.
Yep, so I reached out to a couple surveyors, only heard from one. I doubled back and just checked with the other one and said, you know, are you interested in this? Everybody's super busy. And this is a very highly respected firm that's done work for Underhill in the past. So we've got a window here. We need to get this done before we get a ton of snow. So I'm recommending that this will come out of the ARPA funds.
Okay, so motion to go with the recommendation of the town administrator to utilize Button land surveying.
Professional.
Professional land surveying. As opposed to unprofessional.
This is professional land surveying.
We don't want to hire anybody unprofessional, right, Russ?
That's right.
That's right. All right. So in the amount of not to exceed 4,340. So that would be appropriate to somebody to make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
And someone's gonna need to second the motion.
I'll second the motion.
And is there any discussion?
I think this is great to keep this moving forward. And I appreciate you trying to find another option, but I
Yeah,
think this,
our purchasing policy doesn't require for professional services that we get 3 estimates at all. We can hire just anybody on the spot
Only for unprofessional.
that we like.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, ready for the question?
Mhm.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Brad, the last and final thing that we have for you is bridge number 7, Pleasant Valley and Dean Road, August 24 inspection report.
So we've been fortunate enough to have this bridge inspected in 22, 23, and 24. So this is the latest inspection. I included some correspondence from Spencer Howard. He runs the bridge inspection program. He wasn't the one actually inspecting the bridges, but he oversees this program. He and Cricket had some correspondence. I did as well. Basically, the state is saying that they still think it's in fair condition. They said if it was one of our bridges, we wouldn't limit the posting weight. But he did. But then always the caveat with V-Trans is, but it's your bridge, right? This is what we're saying, but it's your bridge.
It's liability.
And Cricket, spoke with him about the rusted rebar. If you look at the report, you can see the cross members, that laterally go across.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you could pull up that report, Jennifer, that'd be awesome. Scan down a few more pages.
It's a great cover picture.
Oh, it's
Lovely
beautiful.
picture. Yeah,
I thought so too.
this is a beautiful
I like the
picture.
photography myself. So
Yeah.
keep going down.
Not-
Just scroll by pages.
Don't
Commitment
spoil it, huh?
to the fact.
Keep going.
It's almost a Christmas card.
Oh,
One
yeah,
more,
especially
one
the
more.
underneath side.
One more.
It's frightening.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
So right there in beam number 4 on the abutment, you can see there's a lot of steel showing. But what Spencer's saying is like, well, you're seeing like a couple of maybe a dozen that are in there. So they're making some recommendations that and you can see where the corner, I'm just gonna get up here. See where the corner meets right here? So the ground's up here. He's saying, well, you could do some handwork and get water redirected this way so it's not coming down here. We could clean, these are called scuppers. So they're like little slits in the bridge that where the water goes so it doesn't
Like a
pool on
drain
up.
almost.
Yeah, it's called a scupper. So the
Scupper.
scupper should be cleaned. And make sure, see how they're extended down. This was an after the thought. So the actual water doesn't splash onto the bridge with the salt. So that could help a little bit. But all in all, they do agree that it needs to be replaced. Cricket's recommendation is keep moving forward with the replacement. It bothers her, but again, you have to keep in mind the state has so many bridges in such
Exactly.
poor condition that they have to be, and maybe this is just an assumption, but they have to be careful of, if they all failed at once or all needed to be replaced at once,
time getting around.
we wouldn't be able to do it.
Mhm.
So I was just trying to see if you could go a few more pages, just like hit the side button and just click through them, or okay. Just go one more. I just want to show you some. Keep going. Okay, keep going. Keep going. Yeah, see here you're seeing the scour. That's the wing wall substructure holding up
Oh, yeah.
the outside. And these are the outside beams a little worse. One more, Jennifer. Page. Going, I think it's the same one. Yeah, right there. Those are, that's what's bothersome. But there are two in the middle. The only thing we've got going for us with this bridge, and of course you guys can't see this, unfortunately, unless Jennifer wanted to share her screen. But the only thing we have going for us is a short span. So
Right.
anyway, I just wanted to share the report, and maybe it'll ease your mind a little bit what the state has to say, maybe not. But we're gonna, if that all sounds good, we're gonna just keep pushing forward with the
Exactly.
Mhm.
replacement.
I'm not hearing any action.
Objection.
All right. Brad, thank you again as always.
Okay.
Wait, was there one more item? Didn't you have to add something?
I like
Yeah.
the descriptive word that Cricket uses. I don't know if it's an engineering term or what, but she describes the bridge as tender. And I'll
That's
think
a
of
good
it
one.
as I drive
Very good.
over it, but I think that that's quite descriptive.
It's like a piece of filet mignon.
It's gonna melt right in your mouth.
Very-
There was
The reason
something,
I
what
love
was
it.
there?
It was, you were gonna add something at the end of the town administrator items on, right? We
Yes.
adjusted the agenda. There was gonna be
Yeah.
something you added.
I didn't write it down.
I added
We were going to
I added
add- it was,
a little
for the-
circle.
Oh,
for Matt.
for Matt, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, and Jennifer can
And
probably
Jeff.
speak to it, but I have.
I
Go
just
ahead.
had
Oh,
the bullet
Tell them
note,
what
but
you
no.
want to do.
So-
I'll pass that.
So you're about to see, and two of you won't see it.
No, I sent that.
Oh, never mind. You've seen it. There's a photographer who does a lot of landscape photography who is from Vermont. And I have in the past purchased his calendars because I always like his calendars. And we had talked about Matt Champlin, who is retiring in February as the chief of the Underhill Jericho Fire Department. And he's been the chief, I think, for 13 years. 10 years, okay. So we talked about presenting him with something perhaps at his retirement. And I took it upon myself to come up with an idea as a gift, which would be to take a photograph and have it, one of these photographs, and have it framed. And I like these photographs because it's Underhill and Jericho in the foreground. And so the idea would be that we would have it framed and write something up that we could put on the back of the frame and then present it to him as a thank you for his service from the town of Underhill. So was the idea. Obviously, it's not till February. The cost of the frame print for a 10 by 15 is $145, and for the 12 by 18 is $195. So that was the idea, to see if you wanted to use some select board contingency funds to do that.
It's a great idea.
I think it's fabulous.
And then, of course, would be to choose a photograph if you wanted to do it.
So why don't we take two bites at this? One, to see if you want to do it. And I'll leave it up to the maker of the motion, which one based on a dollar amount to come from the contingency fund, and then we can take, if it passes, you can pick top or bottom.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we authorize up to $200 to purchase a gift for Matt. Just, I'm gonna be general, a gift for Matt
Chaplain,
Champlin,
up to $200.
up to $200.
Okay,
I second that motion.
so just so, up to $200. So who are you gonna leave it up to? Jennifer?
Jennifer.
What size she wants to go with?
Cool, the big one.
I like the
Well, it's
big one
not,
too, but,
it's not that much bigger.
right.
Well,
Okay, so there's a motion on the table to authorize up to $200 for Jennifer to purchase a print and have it framed. And then we can have another vote on which one we're gonna go with, but let's get that hurdle crossed first. So
Okay.
any other discussion on the motion?
Either, man.
Hearing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of authorizing up to $200, and Jennifer will take care of this for us, please signify by saying aye.
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 I,
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So now we're at the point of top or bottom. So I'm just going to we'll go around the horn and just, I guess whichever one gets the more votes, we'll go with that one. So Patty, do you want to go top or bottom?
Top.
Maureen?
Bottom.
Dan Steinbauer?
I like the more, the distant one, like the one in back of me.
The bottom?
Oh, yeah. Dan's
That's the bottom.
got it.
He's got-
There you go.
Yeah.
Dan Kelsey?
We buy his for cheaper.
Top.
You know, you guys are awful, because now it's like, I'm the one that has to listen.
You can include staff, we'll give
You
you our
set
opinion.
yourself up for this.
So, in the essence of being fair,
You could ask the
Oh,
rest
come
of us.
on, you're
No,
making good decisions.
we'll flip a coin. Give a coin.
I don't.
Oh, I do. I'm in the laundromat business. I get.
How about we all vote?
Yeah, you could ask all of us.
Yeah, because then we'll just do it right now. Oops.
Okay, hold, here, try another one.
Let's see. It's a bouncy
All right.
coin.
For the
So
record,
heads-
I chose the bottom.
Heads will go, all right, Russ, you call it, and then whatever you want, it's gonna go. I'm gonna flip it, and you say heads or tail, and you have to say if we're going top or bottom, all right?
Okay, yeah. Heads on top, tails on the bottom.
Heads.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay.
I like that one too.
I like the
You did.
bottom.
All right,
50-50.
very good.
What a,
So, thank
what a
you.
great choice that everybody likes. I mean,
Both of them.
Yeah,
I don't think we can lose either way.
No.
no,
I
Thank
agree.
you.
Great idea.
Again,
it's a great
A
idea.
little bit more fun. though.
Thank you.
I
And
know.
a letter on the back, I think it's a really
Yeah.
nice touch.
We'll have you
That's-
guys
yeah.
do a letter.
All right.
Presidential seat.
Next thing is the town hall painting and flooring.
Okay, I sent you all a letter. Thank you, Bradford. So that's his real name. That's what I say when I'm angry with
That
him.
was Bubbles.
Bubba.
Oh, Bubba.
Bubbles.
That is one too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, so much so.
We really got it
Yeah.
Porta potty
Porta
princess and
potty.
Bubbles.
Bubbles, yeah.
Anyway, to be on a more serious note, we've been attempting to paint and resurface the floors in our office in this building since 2022. We, at the time, had 30,000 reserved that we were going to use to do it in 2022. Now the cost to do the project is closer to 70,000. So I have several quotes for the painting ranging from 11,567 up to 33,000. I have 4 quotes. And for the flooring so far, I've only got 1 quote, although I have a second quote that I should have probably tomorrow. So it's now an more expensive project. But for all the reasons that I outlined in my letter to you, it hasn't the walls haven't been painted since 2000, and the carpet was done in 2009.
So is the flooring quote to rip the carpet up and refloor?
Yeah, it's to recarpet, and
Okay.
it's to put in the ones that have the tile chipping. The bathrooms there would have a linoleum, just a single linoleum surface. The upstairs kitchen with the carpet would be replaced with a linoleum, not linoleum, it's a 28 mil vinyl plank, as well as the bathroom up there and that whole hallway.
Everything but the big room.
Yeah, it's to basically
Got it. All right.
replace,
All the flooring.
except for any closets or the
It's
back
not cleaning,
hallways.
it's
Or the
replacing.
or the stairway.
Yeah,
Or the back stairway, yeah.
Yeah.
That's not on there.
not the back stairway,
Yeah.
but the front one.
The front stairway would be rubber anti-slip.
And not this
That
one.
one's not gonna be touched. So I have been going through this building with the painters and the flooring people ad nauseum. And one of the flooring companies has been here and remeasured now twice, because they came in 2022 and now they came again because it's been so long since they were here. So we have the 30,000, but we don't have the other. So we don't have the money's now not in the budget for this year. We can't do one without the other. I mean, I guess we could, wait on the floors, but this is a very disruptive process.
Yeah.
So as you can see by all the file cabinets. So we've gone over with all the painters how we want to accomplish it as far as pulling these out, doing that side, et cetera, and how to do it with as little disruption to our office, and being able to, have lawyers and realtors access the vaults, et cetera. So, once they start painting, usually you paint and then you do the floors afterwards, so you don't get paint on the floors. So basically, what I'm asking, because I'm the voice of the group at the moment, is that we authorize to do this project, and that extra money comes out of what we know will be our interest over budget on our interest accrued account, because the ARPA funds are still in our account, so we're receiving interest on all of that money, and it's not going to be spent between now and the end of this fiscal year. So we're receiving $6,000 to $8,000 a month in interest. So that would make up for that shortfall. So,
So a motion to do both the floors and painting for $76,000. 30,000 would come from capital reserve, and the excess would come from the sweep account.
yes, sweep account interest.
Sweep account interest. So I'm going to move that we do that. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
You want to talk about the actual bids and who's going to do what?
Yeah, well, I guess, once, if you accept the motion, then I guess we can talk about the actual bids, or you can, my opinion would be that you authorize, me as a representative to make the selection on this project. And I guess what goes as far as who we hired to do this, based on my having checked the references of them, having met all of these individuals. In fact, everyone in the office has met these people because they've been going through and measuring, and finding the person that we believe is going to get the job done the way that we want it done, for the right price.
Not necessarily the cheapest price.
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable. You've invested a lot of time into figuring out the right way to do this project. I think
So
empowering you to then select the person who does the project, I feel like is reasonable.
And they'll have insurance and the
Everything will
appropriate
be,
checks and
yes.
balances. Okay.
I've already got all the insurance, just on all of them.
So we can take two stabs at this. First stab is going to be to see if we actually want to do it, and then authorize the amount of money that we just put in the motion, and then we can talk about finer details if it passes.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor, is there any other discussion? Ready for the question?
Mhm.
All those in favor of authorizing up to $76,000, 30 to come from capital reserve, the rest to come from a sweep account interest, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now, we can talk about the finer details now that we have approved that, of who we want to manage the project of both the flooring and the painting. I would hope that the consensus of the group would be that, because Jennifer has spent so much time in this, that we would, the consensus of the board would be to have Jennifer manage that and authorizing, who she feels is the appropriate vendor to get this project done, both projects done. Is that the consensus?
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that good enough?
Sounds good to me.
To make things a lot easier.
And I don't act on my own, so, I have a great team that I work with, so, who's met everybody also, so we'll, continue to hash it around.
So, that this may result in a new title, like Benjamin Moore, or Jennifer Moore.
I'm sorry, but I really
something.
like the porta potty princess.
Paint it Portland blue, Portland green.
Oh, and Sherry's in charge of picking the wall color.
All right.
I'm staying out of all
Yeah.
color choices.
Yeah.
That's what
All
Yeah.
pictures.
There.
Good call, Buford.
If it comes back hot pink, oh boy.
No.
All right, so we got that
Brad's
done.
like, not mine.
Next thing, and we are 8 minutes outside of our window, and that's okay because Jennifer's here.
You need that.
We need to talk about the fiscal year 26 draft budget version number 6. Jennifer, take it away.
All right, so here we are at version number 6, folks.
Put it up
No,
on screen.
version number 5. Yeah, I'm going to,
Oh,
but,
5.
so we're on version 5. My goal tonight,
I thought we were on version 6.
version 5,
Okay, I guess I read it.
we're gonna start version 6 right now together as a team. That's the goal. But now, hold on, I gotta switch my thing over. So if I do that,
We can just go to the packet. It was in the packet. Oh, I see.
No,
You want to do your thing.
yeah, I need to share, how do I switch which screen I'm
You got
sharing?
to get it up on your desktop first.
Do I have to unshare the one I'm sharing?
Unshare that.
Okay, hold on, this is the one I'm sharing.
Okay, so stop sharing that.
Okay,
Now get your thing on the screen there. Close out everything you have except for what you want.
close. Close. No,
Don't worry about it.
It was a great time. Like intermission time.
There we go.
Well, we're switching gears.
Okay,
You can run to the portal ad.
And then close your settings.
Pick our colors first.
Only if it's aesthetic.
I don't know which one it's going to be.
All right, so now
See, this is the humor that you miss if you
I
are.
want to
Yeah.
put version 5 on, because that's only going over.
to
okay,
partake
so
in
now share your
Grab the
screen.
portal, oh my God.
Here with it. Can you tell that story?
Thank you very much.
Gary's Barber Shop.
No,
Famous
that's not
barber
your
on Essex
screen.
Junction.
You gotta go
Lady
to
comes in and she says, Gary,
go back to your.
Paul Mitchell, blah, blah, blah. Why
I
does
don't
it-
see the name.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
wait,
down
it's
here.
over here.
So lady comes down and picks up the
Now
gallon
go
of Paul
share
Mitchell, whatever it
screen.
was. And he says it's gonna be, I don't know, $84. $84. And Gary, without missing him, he goes, don't worry, you're worth it.
Okay,
She buys it.
She bought
Okay.
it, she just left.
okay, intermission is now over. Shall we dim the lights? All right,
Just keep in mind, you're not seeing
the whole screen.
I would look over there
Yeah,
and
I'm
see what
looking.
you're.
I'm looking up on the screen right
Okay,
there.
perfect.
So this is the version 5 that I sent you. You see at the bottom, in the orange at the bottom, down here, we have a 5.5% municipal tax rate increase. This includes, which we already know is going to change, the 350,000 in there for the surplus use, $500 added for the burn permits, the new tech group numbers. What we had thought was the number for the part-time PA and CCRPC, but I actually did some more crunching on that one today. A number in here for Brad for the updated parcel maps. I had the solar array in here at 75K. I'm now hearing 50K, so that would change. The exterior paint and repair quotes for both town hall and the post office. Let's see what else. And any other changes? I think those are all the changes that were in there, that are in here. So it's at 5.57%. Largely increased because of that $75,000 solar that we added in.
Mhm.
However, what I'd like to do, and I can go through also if you want to really quickly here, because there's not that many, the ones that changed from version 4 to version 5. Let's see if I can do that quickly here.
Is it worth plugging in the 50, or do you want to talk
It's
about
already in there for 75. so
It's
you
in
have
there
to-
for
you have
75,
to
so
Save it.
what I would like to do is to, if we're okay with this, is this is version 5, the one I sent you, can't change that, is to go over here into version 6. And on the fly, see the red on the fly? Can they see that on the fly? No, they can't see that. No, they
You're
can't.
not.
You
sharing
can
your
hit,
screen.
you can tap share this tab instead.
Oh,
Up there?
change this tab. Okay.
Very
So,
good.
see the red on the fly? Now this is live, so every change we make in the budget, I will then flip over here to this tax rate number, and you'll see this lower number here, this 5.57, change.
The magic of a good
Okay,
spreadsheet.
ideally, we don't want more than a couple percent increase on our municipal budget. This takes into account, of course, and anything you guys change, you change. This takes into account using 350,000 out of that surplus and putting it in here to reduce taxes. And just as a reminder, here's where we're at right now in the surplus is the 449,966. That's where that 450 is coming from with the recommendation
Mhm.
of taking 100,000 and putting it into the general contingency. We already have 100,000 going into the highway contingency from the supplemental highway income that comes from the state. So there'd be 200,000 going into reserves, and 350,000 of that surplus going into this to reduce taxes. That's already baked in here at that 5.57. Now we start making changes over here, and you'll watch that number change. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into line 254, and I'm going to change that solar number. And while I'm doing that, you can talk about the solar project in itself. There's a couple options. You can put it in the budget and let the voters vote for the budget, or you can make the solar project a separate item on the warning, in which case you see if the voters want to do the solar project or not for that price.
Then it wouldn't be included
It
in the
wouldn't be in the
budget.
budget.
It would have to be explained that the budget would increase.
Just like any line, just like any warrant.
Exactly, in the warrant item.
I'm thinking about that as a warrant item, just that it had been approved sort of as an idea when there was ARPA funds. And given the plan for all of the ARPA funds are now allocated for the sidewalk project, and so that funding stream is no longer available. So now it would be straight out of the town budget. So I feel like it seems like it's a separate enough item that maybe should be on a warrant as opposed to in the budget, but I'm not sure. So it's my first budget year of trying to if that's kind of appropriate that would be separate.
I like the idea of having it as an article for the voters to take action on. It's big enough, it's of significant size. It's not ARPA funded, it is gonna be funded by taxes, and give voters a chance to vote on it. Specifically as an article.
And then that would put the onus on, at our informational meetings, once you, decide on the budget, that will put the onus on us and me, and I would take that on to explain, here's where our municipal taxes are on the budget. And here's how that would change if the voters approve these items that are on the warning. So,
So, to be fair, they already approved it. We've already been through this process, and we said that we were going to take the 50,000 from the ARPA money to put it forward on that, right? Am
No,
I missing something?
we
Yeah.
took it out of the ARPA money.
So if we back up, the original, what they proposed was an array out here in the parking lot.
Yep.
And at a select board meeting, I think
I
Patty,
had
you were,
issues with
you
it
had
being in the field out back.
we had issues too at the town hall because you'd be removing trees.
Yep.
It's just trying to squeeze an enormous thing in a small place. So that's when it got off the table for ARPA.
Right. We accepted the ARPA report excluding the solar project because I took issue with it. Sorry.
Okay, so the $50,000 is still ARPA related and it's just kind of hovering somewhere.
So what you all had agreed on was all those items that were on ARPA, and then after that, whatever was left went into the sidewalk project. So essentially what happened is that solar money went into that
Sidewalk.
bottom pool sidewalk project.
Okay, so now you want to bring it to the voters to say, now that it's not ARPA, do you want to spend $50,000 taxpayer dollars to put in the photovoltaic system?
Correct.
Then let's
That's
do
what they're
that.
saying.
Yeah, that's my thought.
So-
It'd have
Zero
been
that
approved
out.
So if
on
I-
a different, in a different circumstance.
Zero that out.
So it actually wasn't approved. We accepted the
It
committee's
was a-
report. The
Right.
select board took action on the projects, and the solar project was called off the table because it was gonna, for me, I took issue with it and brought it out because it was gonna be, if the proposal was to put it in the green space here at town hall,
On the edge of the parking lot.
and I just
On
didn't
the
think
edge of
we
the
had
boundary.
it. I didn't like that. So I got literally pulled off the table.
So then how would it work then? So then that line item would essentially go to zero.
Zero.
I want it,
So-
I want it, just not
so-
there.
Taking it from 75 to 50,000 brought that rate from 5.57 to 4.76.
Okay.
I just want you guys to see how the money affects it. If I take this to zero, we're now at
That's a
3.13%.
huge change.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what is a 1% change?
About 50 some odd thousand
50,000?
50 something
Okay.
thousand.
So every 50,000
is
is a
a
1% drop. Okay.
See, again, this is like small town Underhill, Jericho's got 2 to almost 3 times the income we do, right? Cambridge, same thing, double. Their grand list is double what we have.
And not only that, but there are other sources of income for the town. There's
Exactly.
commercial businesses in both of those towns.
Which-
We don't have any.
Which they tax their actual infrastructure, their actual equipment. So Smuggler's Notch or a gas station, they're getting a lot of tax revenue from that.
Okay,
But
so
anyway,
we're getting a little off.
just wanted to
so-
throw that out.
Yep, so we're back to, consensus is, I'm hearing that we want the $50,000 for the photovoltaic to be an item that's gonna be warned as for the voters to consider during town meeting?
Is an article to vote on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At town meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Is
think
that the consensus of everybody that we're going to do that and take it out of this budget?
I like that idea.
Dan's, yep, okay, we got the Dan,
Thumbs up.
the Dan
Got the
team.
thumbs up. Okay.
And we're now at what?
3.13%. Now, was there other things that,
They were questionable.
yeah, that,
Let me look.
What's the,
oh, I know the other one. So I wanted to address this line, hold on right here, 166. So I went back into this number here, 166, which is the planning and zoning, those 2 positions.
Yeah.
And I crunched the numbers again, and I did it based on an assumption that I made. And then today, I received the document from Taylor. And I meant to go over that with you before
Yeah.
I left.
Okay.
And I looked at what they have in their contract. It's not them, but it's another regional planning group that does this with 2 other towns. And the rates were much less than what I was thinking. And although I think our rates would be higher because we're Chittenden County and not Highgate or Sheldon, typically our salaries in our area and everything is higher. I think I can come down from the assumption I made. So I do think I can, that number there can be significantly less. but I don't have that number right
And the 110 wasn't that high either, because you're looking back, so
now. I did
you
do
look
that.
back, it's like, yeah, you spent an extra 22,000 having me do the job for 18 months or 19 months.
So,
Cost $22,000.
so the,
When you roll in benefits, insurance, when we figure insurance, we always think the worst case scenario, right?
I did
They may have a family, so
Mhm.
2-person.
worst case, I'm
That
kidding.
worst case, sorry, I didn't mean it that way. But,
Yes.
versus a single person. So you factor all that in and you're at $100,000 easy.
Yeah.
So I had estimated it at $60 an hour for the CCRPC all in, $60 an hour, at 30 hours a week, and came out with 93,600. And then the planning and zoning I came out with was $30 an hour at 10 hours a week. And that came out to the 110,582. If we had a planning and zoning administrator and we paid that person full time, 60,000, which is what was in the budget, that estimated would come in at about between 95 and 115 with benefits. So it's right the same thing.
Yeah.
But this number is going to be lower because the number that CCRPC is going to be charging us for the hour, I don't believe will be the 60. I think we'll be closer
More
to
like
45 or
35
50.
40.
Yeah.
45 or
45?
50.
Okay.
This is almost a better thing to look at right
So
after town report.
The 110 is including both this,
Yes.
the CCRPC and the
Both.
planning person.
Yeah.
And I think we had talked about this last time, that the number 2 for the planning person was like assuming the upper boundary, that he's doing like the up to 15 hours.
That was
Oh,
just for
is that
this
right?
year.
Oh, right. That's
For the
right.
next
This is
year,
next,
it would be
yes.
at 10 hours.
Got it.
So,
Okay. You're
and
right.
that's 17,000 a year for the
Got it.
30 hours times 10
Okay.
with benefits. And that's, not with benefits, but with
That's
taxes. So I do think that number, the 110,
Trim.
I'll be trimming that off
Okay.
also. And I can,
But we're talking like maybe 10,000 trim,
Yeah.
yeah,
so we got more work to do to get that.
So we're in the trimming mode, we're not in the adding mode.
What do you want to add?
Line item 234. As you can recall, when you all went to the town garage, we were spending a significant amount of money in this building. But in the other building that we have, we still have significant issues there. We have issues with a roof that is leaking, and the tiles, ceiling tiles in the working areas are in desperate need of being replaced. We have a roof that is leaking, and I don't know that the 10-5-30 is going to address the problem with that roof. It was also brought to our attention that the doors, the overhead doors, were in tough shape, and I know that they had spent some time cleaning. I don't know if the doors had necessarily gotten any better, or if they need to be replaced. But that was another issue that I don't know that 10-5-30 is going to necessarily address that. We also have foam on a ceiling in the whole bay of that garage that has to be starting to be addressed, and it has not. So I don't know when the appropriate time is going to be that we are actually going to start to address some of the concerns over to the other building. I feel that oftentimes it's out of sight, out of mind for this board. That's why I felt it was important that this board spend some time in going over to that building, but I do think that we need to address some of the concerns over at that building.
I was thinking the same thing as we were talking about the kind of painting and flooring stuff here in this building, of thinking about even just the break room where the desks are. It's just like a really insufficient amount of space that, and I think addressing some of the bigger concerns, I think it's going to probably have to be a phased project that may even require another bond, in terms of thinking about the cost. I can't think of estimating them, but I think even just some of the upgrades to the actual working space. And Dan Kelsey and I, when we were at the meeting, showed us around, and it really is, it's pretty tight. I don't know if you guys can even all fit in there at the same time. So I don't know the right way in which to address it or the right time, but I think it is probably worth.
I would like to have us, have a roofing contractor or put something towards addressing the roof.
What roof is leaking? Your break room or the
break
over your
room.
office is leaking? That's what we're talking about?
And the bays are, like yesterday or day before, it was dripping in places we've never seen.
But is that condensation or is that the roof leak?
It could be condensation too. I don't know. I think it's more of that condensation. I think my own feeling is it's not that the roof is leaking. I think it's that bad setup that's up there that it needs. It's been a discussion for years.
Yeah.
No,
it has.
I
Right, but do we
understand.
replace the roof or do we renovate the whole building? Because there's not enough space. for
And that's the
trucks.
reason why it always ends up a dead thing, is because that always butts up against.
So should we solicit, an architect or a firm
I've
to
got
come in?
I've got a file cabinet full of studies on that roof, on the building. We've just had a recent energy assessment done, but there's studies about the roof. They may be dated. We have a lot of information.
Right, but I think we're at the point where I feel that we may have data, but we haven't taken any action. So I don't know that, should we put $5,000 towards the building and ground maintenance to come up with a plan with the data that we have and work with a construction manager to start addressing some of these issues? And if we need to put, things to the voters and stuff like that, I just feel like we have an asset and we're not addressing the asset, that there's issues over there. And I don't think the public really has an idea that, we have a roof problem at the garage, and we're not demonstrating it in this budget by saying 10,530 and we've only spent 3841 and we're halfway through the year. And it's just like, the public has no idea that we have a problem over there. And we have a problem in the bays and we have a problem in the workspace. So I think that we really need to demonstrate, and I have no problem saying like the money that we would put towards that, and I don't know what the magic number is, but would be towards, I would hope to have like a construction manager help us with how do we start to make a plan for the public to start to address some of these issues.
I mean, it's a major, the way I look at it, and I was involved in a lot of these things back when I was on the select board too, is like, I think you need to take a major approach at it. And it's like,
Maybe we
rip the
do.
roof right off the thing, strip the foam off the gutters, put the insulation on panelize the roof the way it should be, so that there's no warm air getting into the inside of the building.
I think the idea is the right one though, of like spending the money in this upcoming year to start
Get a
building
plan.
the
To get a-
plan,
exactly,
right?
get a
Get whether it's
construction plan.
an
Yeah.
engineer, an architect.
Right, and what do we
And
have
like-
for space and insufficiency of space? And let's do it right with a design that accommodates space issues
You're gonna
too.
need a lot more than $5,000.
Well, I'm
But,
happy
For the
to hear
engineer
what,
and architect?
yeah, just to get consultant, but
I'm happy to entertain like whatever that's going to be, but I do think that we need to really put a little bit of thought to that line item so that we can start to move the ball.
is that where that would go though?
I don't know.
You're gonna
That's what I
hire-
just saw as building and maintenance.
I think it would be
grounds.
under contractors and professional services
Yeah,
to
that's-
hire somebody.
Okay.
You have 15,000, maybe 20,000?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
Let's put a line item in.
and
for 20.
there, like I said, it's
I'm
all
gonna-
about gathering the information we have too, so this person has at least some
Yeah, they don't
background.
have to like reinvent the wheel or start from
Right.
scratch.
Right.
They
They
can,
they can dig through all the files, talk with Russ about
Mhm.
space issues, look at the facility and come up with suggestions.
the other thing I'm thinking is like, as we start this bigger plan, is there short-term stuff that can be done to make the break room or the space where like your desk is, or that in terms of like smaller, more reasonable upgrades that can happen in the meantime that can make the space more comfortable, more functional,
Really needs a blowout.
and it's like, it needs.
I wouldn't, and I'll speak for myself, but I can safely speak for the other guys. We don't want to spend money
Frivolous.
incorrectly if we're going to take the approach of an addition or revamping of the building,
Yeah.
adding on.
I'm just thinking like
And-
if we're not going to be able to do something like you don't, I don't want you guys to be uncomfortable or not able to like work comfortably or efficiently for like 2 years, or however long it might take before we're ready to expand.
There's really not a
whatever,
lot
but-
of choice.
I know,
it's
I
not
know
a
there's
lot
not a
of-
lot of space. but
Honestly, I'd like to see us go to a point where I don't think we have enough space. We have a lot of equipment, and some of this equipment isn't even in the garage.
Right.
I think we're at the point where we need to expand, but we also need to demonstrate that there's a need to take care of what we have. Or we're gonna end up with a memorial auditorium type scenario where we're not fixing the building, and then all of a sudden, it's too far gone. And I don't wanna get to that point. I wanna get to the point where we know there's a problem, we've known about it for a long time, we have a lot of apparently paperwork. Well, then let's get somebody on board that can help us with all the paperwork we have and
Yeah.
figure out like what we need to do and present something to the taxpayers.
So both these projects, this addition and the town garage, I was here when they happened, and that's 25 years old. These walls haven't seen paint for 25 years. Wow. Okay, so,
They're ready.
and the town garage hasn't seen any work for 25
Yeah.
years. So it's a
I
long
just-
time.
I just
We're
need
due.
to see us
Yeah, we need
go
to
another
take care of our
25
shit.
years. It's just like, we got to deal with this.
It's just a long time. It's just like,
Right, it's great
So-
that you're teeing this up, but I think we need to let's put
So I put
contract money.
I
in
put
the-
20 here under line
Good.
272.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if, Russ, if there are things you can do, or if you think there's things that, to me, if you've got a roof, you're gonna leak, you're gonna deal with it now. If there's garage door issues, you're gonna be dealing with those that need to be fixed now, right? I mean,
Well, when they break, we
right,
do.
right, but, I guess that the question is, some of the things that he was saying, I mean, do you think that number, that 10,500 in line 276?
I think it's okay.
Okay,
That covers our maintenance of our heating system and minor repairs, door
Probably should
repairs.
put $5 or $10 in so that they all can have like an umbrella so they don't get rained on when they're in the garage. I don't know,
We
maybe.
Get you new raincoat.
so we're at 3
a hard hat.
we're at 3.78,
Okay.
having added that. So now what I think we should do is start at the top, scrolling up.
The pale blue is our new color, right?
Yeah, the pale blue was the new color. But I don't know if there's other things also that,
I think I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't want to belabor it, but something you may want to entertain thinking about is the local agreement tax revenue. So we started a program to offset taxes.
line 16.
Started way back, since you wanted to start from the top. It started way
I'm
back
just telling them.
way back in the 70s, I think, maybe, 70s, when incorporated school districts came about. Taxes were on the rise. We were proactive, Underhill was proactive in starting like a current use program before current use even existed to help the farmers. That program's continued. We've trimmed it down a little bit because a lot of people were taking advantage of that, yet they were not even able to subdivide their property, so they became ineligible. I think that's something that you may want to look at phasing out of someday. If people have large parcels of land, they can join the current use program. This is a minimum acreage. My feeling on current use, I have enough land to be in a current use program or the town contract. I choose not to. I just don't think it's fair. I think while there may be some people that need the break, the break isn't that significant. As current use is, current use is made for people with hundreds and hundreds of acres, right? So I just think it's something that should be addressed because you're basically, this 92,000 here on this line is money that we have to come up with to offset the education
Can I
tax.
ask Brad, this I feel like is I don't have enough background information
Yeah,
on this.
yeah.
And if there's something you could like write up or point me
Sure.
to some of the like relevant data points and like kind of some of the background
There's some
information,
links.
I would be really interested
Yeah.
to know more because I
Okay.
think
And that's not something that
That's-
could probably change between now and
It's
next year
not, it's
anyway.
not, but
But
it's
Brad
something
just wants it to be in the back of
I
your
think
mind.
Planting seeds.
yeah, $100,000
It's
is
significant.
lot of money.
significant for sure, especially given the lack of
2%.
2%.
options we have for revenue. I think it's certainly worth exploring. So I would
Yeah.
be interested in learning more and understanding to be able to delve into that. Thank you.
Sure.
So what I think is helpful as you're going down this list is to look at things that have a large increase or decrease and make sure that it makes sense. There's the line 67 is the use of surplus.
You know, I think your line numbers are not
Am I in the wrong place?
They're not the same as what we
Oh, hold
have.
on, I'm in the wrong.
PDF.
There we go. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There we go.
Sorry.
Sorry. So what number were you talking about? Is the
Um,
right one there for the, oh, the use of
67.
surplus.
Surplus.
52.
52. Yeah.
There it is.
That was the new color.
Got it.
So keep in mind, another thing I think to keep in mind is you're using a ton of surplus to balance this budget. So next year, there's gonna be a lot of things that, you know,
Mhm.
you're not gonna have that surplus again, probably.
No, but there's also a lot of things in this budget that aren't gonna happen next year. too.
Right. Exactly.
I mean,
Like,
we're painting the exteriors of the buildings
we're
and,
higher on the paving on Pleasant Valley Road.
right.
That's about 140 grand more than, or 100 grand more than we typically would spend on a paving job.
It's all up.
The other thing too, that I just want to bring up as we're winding down here on the budget conversation is that there were several requests that were made around salaries, that I had sent to you that haven't been addressed. If you choose not to address them, that's your business, but I had sent you guys memos.
Yeah. Do we need to have a,
So at some point, you may want to have an executive session before we
Executive session.
finalize the budget to discuss that stuff, but that certainly is up to all of you.
I think we should probably schedule something,
I think we
an
can,
executive session on that.
we can do that. And I think that should be a special meeting. We can wait until after the holidays possibly.
Mhm.
Yeah, next meeting's on the 9th, so you could talk about that when you get to your schedule.
Hold that thought, Maureen. I like the way you're thinking, but hold on to that for just a second.
Put a pin in it.
Mhm.
Is the fire department number gonna change, or is that looking pretty solid?
It's the same,
Accepted.
solid now.
Okay,
Yeah. We- The, as long as the
It
voter,
is.
yeah,
It
but
is, I
it's,
know.
we've accepted their proposal. Which I think was ended up being a 1% decrease.
Yeah.
Hold on till next year.
line 166, the planning and zoning number will come down.
The same with that reserve though, isn't it? The same
It's
situation?
the same, yeah, it's when you use the reserve and,
It feels good now.
Well, that's what
The
but there,
nice thing
it's,
for us is that we're adding 200,000 to our reserves this year, so we're
that
not,
is helpful.
Hmm?
That's helpful.
Yeah.
And you said line 166 is gonna be coming down.
Yeah.
Right. The mapping number. We just didn't have that number before,
Right.
is that right? Okay.
And if I could, that might not need to be spent at all. If I didn't have this job, I brought my mapping computer in over here, set up, and if I didn't have to do this job, I'd be pecking away at that, but we'll see what happens.
So we haven't got any letters or anything like that from these other folks, like the Red Cross or anything like that, requesting an increase or anything?
No, there's
No.
I've kept up with all the appropriations as we've come through. I think we've gotten just about
just a
all of
couple, there
them.
was a couple new ones,
There's
a
a
couple
few.
add-ons.
Yeah, with the add-on, so the food hub, you weren't here last week, Bob, but the food hub is circulating a petition to get on the warning. Everybody else, there was nobody asking.
So
for an
that's,
increase.
that's done though. We aren't gonna have to worry about somebody coming in at the last minute saying, I need a couple $1,000s for this.
No,
or
they'd
that.
have to get a petition.
The deadline.
Deadline's passed, right? So we're good.
I haven't heard from like Kuzi or anybody, but they've been kind of fading off. They cut basically what they were asking for is Chittenden County Special Investigations or something. They cut their request in half last year, so.
You took the bus out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And we should be getting,
Money back.
I left a message.
Yeah.
I'm like, where's our money? Because we paid we only paid one.
No, we paid it one lump sum. That was one.
Oh,
lump
yeah,
sum.
they owe us $16,000.
They owe us, yeah.
Oh, that'll be nice to get back.
So we
It's
should get
another,
that
what,
back.
1%?
Good luck.
I'm gonna.
They said they'd give it back. You were sitting right
Yeah,
at
he-
the
I
table
know. Talk to
Did
you
you say
before
that?
Yeah, he did
before the
say.
cat scratched him.
Yeah, that's right. Who knows what happened after that?
Jenna, you'll have to get another title for another hat
Oh,
for
gosh.
your collection
Um,
services.
Line 266, Russ never heard back from the people about the crack ceiling contractors, so we decided to just leave it at the 26. So
That's all we'll do.
that's all we'll do,
Oh,
and then that's that.
What an important job of what, God, that'd be terrible.
The 300, that line 276, 340, that's the paving on Pleasant Valley Road.
Mm-hmm.
So that line item will have to reduce next year.
Mm-hmm.
The-
Someday we'll get a grant again.
Isn't our plan to get a grant to
Mhm.
offset
No.
that 340?
We're not gonna get the grant. I highly doubt we're gonna get it. We'll apply for it.
Yeah, we'll apply.
Get it.
We always apply.
No, we're not.
I'm gonna get it.
I don't think so, no. There's only so much money to go around, and we've received, I can't remember last time we paid the grant, what was that, too long ago? You never know,
But isn't that just for those class 3 roads, right?
class 2, yeah,
I mean, class 2 roads.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while since we've paved.
We,
in
I
class two.
understand, but it doesn't work that way. So I think we received a lot of grants because when we hired Brian Bigelow, he knew about these grants, so he pursued them, and the state was just dishing them out to us because we hadn't applied ever for them. So they wanted to catch us up to some of these other towns. So we received our fair share of grants. But we're gonna try again.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
Hope springs eternal.
Yep.
So as it stands is 3.78.
So wait, let's just back up for that. I don't have to take up time, but do we want to spend that kind of money without getting a grant? I mean, I know the road's bad. Don't get me
I was
wrong.
gonna say, you've been down that section.
Yeah.
No, I know. I know. I'm looking
So what was the Irish settlement job? How much was that paving?
at 100.
That's right. So you're beefing it up here, 340.
I know why we're beefing it up because it's a big project. but
Yeah. Either take the hit now or you never count on a grant, except for this structures grant for Pleasant Valley. I think we could hang our hat on.
For the bridge.
For the
For the
bridge.
bridge, we can count on that, but pavement grant, you just can't.
Okay, so let me just back up a little bit here.
Yeah.
This is, I think, in my eyes, this is good discussion.
Yeah,
I'll probably get some rash for it because we may not agree, but I'm just gonna say it. So I understand the fact of taking $350,000 and giving it back to the voters or the taxpayers. How much does that actually give back to an average taxpayer versus utilizing that money in a different area without having to borrow or raise? Couldn't that offset some of that?
7%. Right?
I mean, if I take
Quick
that out, I
thinking
tell
about
you what
this,
happens.
7%.
yeah, just play for fun.
We got $350,000.
Well, essentially,
Well,
that's what's, we're
we
in
over budgeted.
surplus.
I realize that. I realize how we got there.
Right, but we have in surplus 350. That basically covers the paving project.
You just see what it does, yeah.
You gonna
see what
take
it
that
does.
out?
See what it,
I'm
take it
just
out,
showing
see
you what it looks like.
does.
Here's what happens to the tax rate.
We would all be unelected.
15.15% increase.
Yeah.
They would throw us out in say, get somebody in there that knows how to manage.
That's a ton of money. That's a ton of
Maybe
money.
not all of it. I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
we have so much failure in our infrastructure
Oh, we know that.
right now. That,
Yeah, but it's a pace issue, it's a
I get
timing
it,
issue.
I get it.
But let's go
Timing.
back to the revenue we have, we just
Right.
you just keep slow and steady.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. Exactly.
And you can't set the world on fire. It's not gonna happen.
It's like when you go to paint your house, you and I would probably paint the entire house. But it's like we're only painting one side.
One side a year.
You know what I mean? And then the next year you paint another side. And it's just like, that would drive me nuts, but it's too much.
Mhm.
I agree. I don't think the average taxpayer can, shoulder that,
I don't.
After last year, everybody was out for everybody's head. That's why the legislature changed.
So, and I also keep in mind for us, because so one of the things that I try to do is balance our debt, knowing especially that we're gonna have this big project ahead of us. And if you look at my current debt number here, this is where we'll be at next year. And it's the first time since I've worked here that we're over $1 million in debt. So,
First time in history.
so first time in the history of Underhill. Part of this is because why? Trucks are costing us a lot more than they used to. And we've gone to all the double axle trucks. Am I saying the right thing? So the cost of our vehicles is higher now. So obviously we're carrying more debt. Then we look at the bond. So I think what we need to do is we're balancing things. If we, you can go borrow money to do a paving too, but then that would increase this.
Mhm.
So what we're doing is we're saying, let's continue to put money into our coffers. So we have that 100,000 going into the coffer,
That's
into
going
our
on.
reserve. We have the other 100 going into it that
Yes, so.
for the next
we are-
5
We are
years.
using 100 of the surplus this year is going into reserve.
Right, so we'd have, and for 6 years in a row, it'll be 100 going into the highway reserve. So, of course, if next year, let's just say next year or the year after, we have a paving job and we end up in another situation, we now have some reserves built up by that point, because each year we're adding that 100,000. And, the voters said yes for 5 years, and then the year before that on the floor, the voters, I think Seth Friedman moved to add 100 to the reserve. So in the course of 6 years, we'll have $600,000 in highway reserve,
If
which
we
is
could get to that
really
point,
helpful.
Then you've got some wiggle room.
Yeah.
You
But
gotta
we
have
need to
a
build
nest
those coffers back up,
Mhm.
because we got really low on reserves.
The other thing I'm thinking about is, right, is like when you think about it, debt to income ratio, obviously it's different for a business than for a municipality. But like, where else can we look at in terms of the town's income? And I know there's not a lot of options, but one of the things Jennifer and I talked about is like the amount that we get from the state for the state park in terms of like,
The payment in lieu of,
yes, that like, I think that, I don't know if that's a set thing that is non-negotiable. Or if it's like hasn't been increased in how long.
Legislature sets that
Yeah.
every year.
So that's really not a thing that you can like
no,
push on.
unfortunately, it's not.
But it just feels like for how many people come through Underhill that we own that much land there.
Turn that into a toll road.
Mhm.
Anybody who lives on, Mountain Road, we'll turn that into a toll road. We get $1 every car. We'll give you a pass. You're damn. Don't worry about you guys, but we'll just turn the rest of it.
No,
We'll start generating some.
I think it's hard. I think it is hard for us because we don't have, our number one source of revenue to run the town is tax dollars.
Taxes.
That's really what we have, which is why when you look at this revenue up at the top here, you'll notice here, see how these top lines, number 2, 3, are blank under proposed budget? That's because what happens at the end here, once we know how much we're spending, I take that number and I plug it in here, because that's our
That's it.
plug.
Yeah.
All the revenue is coming from all these other sources that are down below, and then whatever else we have to raise, all goes into here.
But see that 92,000, if you didn't have to pay that out
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
for someone that has 10 acres that says they're not gonna subdivide their land.
So the other thing that you can look at, Maureen, is
Yeah.
impact fees. and we have not addressed impact fees on anyone when they come to build or put in a development or anything like that at all. So that's another area where if you wanted to talk about, have a real deep dive into discussion as far as bringing in revenue, then you could start talking about impact fees.
Well, and all of what I've mentioned this before. What about all of our costs, like what we charge for building, zoning, all that stuff?
So Amanda and I went through this exercise 3 weeks ago. We went through all the towns. We looked at our fee schedule, and what we found is we're right pretty much in line with.
Darn.
We're probably a little bit higher than most towns.
We should
So,
be.
I know. I know.
We're the most beautiful town in the world.
Okay, sounds good. But
It's true.
well, for fee schedules, they're all over the map, but we're right in.
I was really hoping we could.
So
Okay.
can I,
One-
so this,
Yep.
if we can, I mean, the time is running out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
no, yeah.
I make a suggestion. So we still have, in my opinion, we still have to work on shaving some of 3.78. I still don't like that number. We either need to cut or bring in more revenue. And I'm gonna just throw this out as a suggestion. Instead of 350 bringing into surplus, we bring in 400 from the surplus. Instead of 100 going to reserves, we push 50 to reserves. That shaves 1%. These are just suggestions.
Yeah.
And then the other question that I had is Sherry really retiring? It signed her
Yeah, she's
petition,
retiring.
but she's,
Yeah,
She has to.
she has to run.
she has to run,
Well, who else is
She
going to be
can't keep doing
treasurer?
her job if we won't have a
But-
treasurer.
but my question is, do we need to have that part-time position? Is she really retiring?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay. All
3
right.
years, she's gone.
yes.
So
If
there's,
you
all
don't get somebody in here, we're going to be
right, so the
really.
48 for the part-time position is really necessary.
Well, that's 1%.
I know, but that's the two things with the
No.
surplus,
Yeah.
bring in another 50 and then cut 50.
So what
That's
is your
2%.
what is your magic number that you only want to see up to 2%?
Well, it's at
I'd like-
2.16 just by adding 50,000, it went to 2.16.
So what, I mean,
Okay, so that's
if
a
you're looking
better,
at, if you're looking at,
2%, something around 2% is my magic number. I'm thinking about voters and they're gonna get hit again
Yeah.
with property taxes.
So we're looking at 7.5%, probably 8% with the
Right,
education.
they're gonna get hit
Yeah.
again. We have to do our best to bring this number down.
well, I gotta tell you, like, sometimes you get to a point where this is foolish.
I don't think it's foolish.
Well, I think it's foolish if we're only talking about a 2% rate increase on the municipal side, and the majority of it is over on the school side, and then
8% of
and
it's
then
on
you
the
and then
school
you don't take care of what needs to be taken care of in the town.
Yeah.
Like I don't have really any control over the budget process of the school other than, as a taxpayer saying up or
Understood.
down. But on
Yeah.
this side, it's just like, I think that,
But here's my thought process. We have a big paving project in this budget, 342,000. So let's bring more reserves into this year to help pay that off and pay for a few other things. Next year, the next fiscal year 27, we're not gonna have 342,000 of paving, hopefully. And then we won't have the need for that reserve, or maybe we do have some extra reserves coming in from the close of the next fiscal year. I'm trying to bring that number down as much as possible.
But the other thing is the looming, like you've got River Road that's in pretty bad shape.
I just feel like sometimes we rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, so you kind of try
And
to.
but you also can't we can't squeeze more money out of, right? Like
Stone.
there's only right for whatever the is, you can't squeeze blood from
Blood
the
out of a stone.
Yeah. But we can't keep delaying if there's, but there's only so much appetite.
Right, we're gonna
I
be
think
putting
it's
a
reasonable.
50,000
So I think
solar
they
array
got-
in front of folks too. We're gonna be putting that
But
as an article.
they can
They can
have,
vote on that.
that's right, they can say
Yeah.
yes or no, because that's gonna be 1%. So you want it, you're paying for it. If you don't want it, then
All right, take the paving out.
That's what I was
Put-
just gonna say.
put
Can
it-
we put that in
Put
front
the
of them as
paving on a
as
line
an article?
warrant item, then you'll have a decrease.
No, it doesn't work that way.
yeah, but you don't, but
That's how you get run out of office too.
yeah, that's dangerous.
That's dirty pool, yeah.
Well, if you want it, you pay for it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but it
See,
doesn't
I don't
work
know- I
that
don't
way.
know if you want-
Otherwise,
I don't-
we go down, you can't operate that. We'd be in such,
Just discussion.
Yeah.
and you've signed don't forget, you've signed codes and standards of the state of Vermont. There's a certain level, like if the road got so bad, the state would come down on you and say, you're paving that, or we're cutting your state aid to fund it.
well, if they turn
So-
Pleasant Valley into a state highway, we'd be all set.
I know, that was Bob's idea.
I mean, I think you can argue anything. You can say, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm totally against it, but I'm gonna throw it out there. That's a big number. The prices I got to paint this building on the outside and repair this building, that 30,000 or whatever it is, that's a big number. Painting the post office and repairing the post office, those are big numbers. Take those out. Those are a lot of numbers too. But if we continue to not maintain our town and our infrastructure and our roads
Yeah.
and the highway and the properties and the buildings, and
just
you don't
like-
invest in your employees.
But what about just the loan in the town hall? I'm not, don't get me wrong with this, but you're talking about painting and carpet, outside painting. What's the great room? That's ARPA, right? That's
Yeah.
gonna be 100% ARPA?
Mhm.
We're
Should be.
hoping.
We don't know
Okay.
yet.
So between painting and repairs of the outside and inside, what's that?
You're right around 100 grand right
100
there.
grand.
Yeah.
It's 2%.
So maybe we need to divide that up.
Yeah,
Maybe we need
except
to do
we've been
the
trying to get it done
I-
since 2022, and the carpet's stained and looks gross,
I'm thinking
and the
the
mold is
inside-
affecting
I
people's
think
health.
the inside should be done before the outside.
Well, the insides would be done this fiscal year, the painting and the exterior projects.
Oh,
are
so
the
that's not all
next year.
on next year.
That's not in this budget,
That's
okay.
not in here.
but the exterior is getting really bad.
So like,
So I'm gonna-
it's a,
I'm gonna reel it in.
yeah, no.
Really?
I think it's time to, we're gonna be going to another version. I think we're going to talk about, very quickly with Maureen's help, to talk about salaries. Because we haven't addressed that.
Right.
And we can continue this a little bit more, but if there is anything more specific on this budget outside of salaries, I think that we should, keep working, but I don't think we're gonna make a lot of headway tonight.
Okay, so version 5 is the version you have.
Yep.
Version 6 is the one where we have here with the 2.16, which
Leaving the reserves.
increased the surplus usage
To
to
400.
400 and would reduce what we're asking the voters to put into reserve to 50 from 100. So we can call this version 6, and the next time we meet, we'd be going to version 7.
Because
If
the salaries,
that makes
that's
sense
gonna
to you.
push that up.
Let's leave it for the sake of, because we're gonna come back to it.
Yep, we're gonna come
Let's,
back to
let's
it.
let that marinate for a little
Okay.
while, would be my preference. Let's let it simmer or
Yeah.
marinate or whatever, and then let's come back to it.
Our brains.
How about you guys on the screen? Any comments or something, anything that we need to address?
Nothing from my side.
Oh, nothing. I'm listening. I'm fading.
Okay, okay.
I know.
We're probably both fading, okay.
We'll let
Thank
you,
you.
we'll let you reload, Dan.
They didn't, those guys didn't get
That's
the
why he took his
snacks.
camera off.
So you need a little espresso.
Okay,
Want to go to closing public comment?
Jennifer, thank you for continuing
Yeah.
to
Oh,
work
yeah.
your
Yeah.
numbers magic.
this
I
is
think we're
good.
at the closing public comment period. I don't see anyone here at the town hall, and I don't know that we necessarily have anyone in the virtual environment. Oh, Jennifer's here.
I have one thing that I would like to say as animal control officer.
Let's probably put it under correspondence
Oh,
and
never mind.
Announcements and schedule.
announcements.
Okay,
So we're good with the closing comment, public comment period. So now we're gonna get to correspondence, and our friend Jennifer's here, and she's.
Or no,
no, you
that's-
need to do your warrants.
Warrants
Oh,
and minutes.
Hold
I'll
that
send this
thought.
to you.
Okay, so the first warrant that we have, I'm not doing it in the order of, on the.
Payroll warrant.
I'm doing it on,
Those are minutes, minute dates.
this is money.
Yeah.
Check warrant dated 12/16.
Yep.
Move to accept the, this is the payroll warrant dated 12/16/2024. I move that we accept that. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, I have a warrant dated 12/17. I move that we accept that warrant. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor of paying the warrants dated 12/17/2024, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'm gonna sign this letter to Larry.
Yes.
Okay, I don't need to get approval for that. We already voted on that. So this is the special select board meeting minutes, fiscal year 26 budget work session of December 5th, 2024. I move that we accept those minutes as presented. Is there a second?
Who was on that, Bob, for the present?
Select board members are Maureen, Patricia, Dan Steinbauer, and Bob Stone. Absent Dan Kelsey.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you got enough to vote on.
You have
Yep.
a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? We'll do a roll call vote. Bob Stone, aye.
Patty Richards, aye.
Maureen Collins Kolb, aye.
Dan Steinbauer, aye.
Dan Kelsey abstain.
Motion carries 4-0-1. Today is the
19.
19th.
19.
Okay, next one is the special select board meeting minutes that were for November 7th, 2024. Those present are going to be Dan, Kelsey, Maureen, Patricia, Dan, and myself. We had the fabulous five were there.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why those didn't get signed before, but
I'll move that we accept the meeting minutes for that day on the 7th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, are you ready for the question?
Yes.
All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes for November 7th, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. All right, I think that's, what's in this thing?
you just pass it down. Oh, those are cards, Christmas cards for the.
Oh, yeah, we'll take
and
care of
the-
those.
Yeah, yeah, but could you pass the?
No, I gotta
envelope?
sign one more thing.
No, oh, okay.
I'll go pushy. It's like Christmas is coming or something, you know? You like,
And
want the Christmas catalog.
I can run the cards up to Dan
That's right.
Steinbauer tomorrow.
All right, so we got the comment period, we've done the warrants, we've done the minutes. Next thing is the member items, correspondence, announcement schedule. The next scheduled select board meeting is the 9th of January. Jennifer was very patient,
Yes, thank you. So
so let's talk with Jennifer.
I just wanted to let all of you know of a disturbing event that occurred on Monday midday this past week. I have notified and spoken to the Vermont State Police, but a decapitated, bloody rabbit was placed on a tenant who lives on a mailbox of a person who just moved to Underhill and lives on Range Road. There's like a mailbox, and then there's like a thing that says number 28 up right below your house, Dan Steinbauer, on the right side of Range Road. And when the when she came home from work, she saw it there bleeding, like decapitated, bleeding into her driveway, into the snow. It was very disturbing, and I just felt like I wanted you to know, and my hope is that maybe we can make some kind of a statement saying that, that type of hate crime and, has no place in our community. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to let you all know. I did let the state police know in case this is happening elsewhere, or in case this escalates to something else. I did go visit the homeowner the renter, and I talked to the people who own the home as well. So I don't.
Quite strange.
It was a very strange.
There was
occurrence.
nothing else. It was just, there's no like
No
message
note,
with it.
no message.
And the
Just
tenant has no idea. Like it's not a.
nope. They've lived here for a month. A young couple with a child just moved to Underhill, and this is what's happening to them on the road.
No disputes with anybody?
No disputes.
Do they have a dog?
They do have a dog.
Well,
But-
thank you for dealing with that.
Yeah, I wanted to make everyone
And
aware of it.
Thank you for bringing us aware.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's certainly not something that I like to hear.
Is there anything we can do? It's really,
I mean, I notified the
Disturbing is
state
the best-
police and
is the
I
best
told
word.
the homeowner, the people who own the home, that I was gonna bring it to the board's attention so that if anything ever happened, if anything else happens, that we're all aware of it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for documenting it and thank you for
Yeah.
bringing it to our attention. I don't know if there's necessarily any action that we should take at this time other than being aware and kind of monitoring the situation.
I agree.
And if there is, if anyone has anything that they feel strongly, we certainly can discuss it, but
So Jennifer, did you encourage them to let the town know if anything else happens?
Yes,
That's unseemly.
I gave her my number and I spoke to the landlord homeowners as well.
it wasn't their rabbit, it was just a wild rabbit.
Just a wild rabbit.
Yeah, that's what I asked. They got like hit in the road or something. And, just very.
That's really weird. There's probably not someone who has like a Ring camera. It's not like, there's not like something else nearby that would be close to that.
The next door neighbor did lose all of his chickens to a bears this summer, so he might have a camera and I could check with him.
It might be worth just if there's something, if
Yeah.
she knows.
It happened in the middle of the day too, which
So
was very
weird.
odd. It happened between noon and 2:00 because when I called the post office, the lady who, the postal
Oh.
carrier,
Mhm.
Mary Jo, she said it wasn't there when she drove by. She said, I would have seen it. I sent her a picture. She's like, oh, Jen, I definitely was not there when I drove by.
So maybe the neighbor with the chickens maybe has a trail camera.
Yep, I'll
or
definitely
something
check
that
that.
might be worth looking into. But I'm
Yeah.
so sorry that happened. That's
Just,
awful.
we don't typically have that kind of, crime in our community, so it's worth noting.
maybe something for them to reach out to their immediate neighbors to let them know, so folks can keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
And Dan's only a couple houses down, but I would let everybody that I live next to know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of at this point. I
Yeah.
like the idea of the Ring camera to check that. They should get a camera.
They have a camera. It's in the backyard, not the front yard. They were gonna get one that night.
Well, thank you for
Mhm.
bringing that to our attention. I'm
Any-
sorry you had to deal with that.
Any other correspondence, anyone? So on behalf of my family, I'd like to thank the staff and the select board for your kind words on the passing of my father. The services will be starting tomorrow and on Saturday, and your compassion is felt and appreciated. I also would be remiss of not saying happy holidays to each and every one of you.
We're all thinking of you.
Yeah.
The whole family.
Yeah.
So the next meeting is going to be on the 9th of January. We have some cards here to sign for a holiday wishes for our staff for the seasons. And with that, I think we're at Dan Steinbauer's favorite time of the meeting where we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
It has been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I
Those opposed, motion carries. This meeting is concluded at 8:50 PM. You can stop the recording. Thank you.